Let's switch it up. It's my channel. I do what I want. Today, how are you doing? How's everybody feeling? I'm good. I woke up. That's a start, right? Every day, every time you wake up, it's a new way. It's a new chance to start over, right? You might have tried a bit on a diet. You try to, get your body, your health right, and you're doing good for 4 days, and you mess up because something happened in the next 3 days. You binge on trash food, and you don't work out those 3 days, and you feel like you failed. But if you woke up on the 8th day, it's another chance to try again. That's how I see it. Like, I've done failed so many times, I think, but I say, you know what? If I wake up, I'll try again. That's the goal. When I go to work, my goal is to get home. If I get to bed and I die in my sleep, cool. Get home. If I wake up, I get a chance to do it again. Lex Fridman. I love listening to Lex. His demeanor, his attitude with people, his positive vibes, his whole energy, his openness to try to, his openness to explore and just take everything in and just give it a try and discuss any topic. I appreciate him for that, and he's brought much knowledge to me. Like, I've learned so much paying attention to him, or just the people he has on, his guests, and it's always interesting. It's never ignorant. And I listen to a lot of ignorant shit. You know what it is. The majority of stuff is ignorant. What's the saying? If it bleeds, it leads. The world is if it bleeds, it leads. So when you come across somebody like Lex, who's pushing out non-negativity, you attach yourself to it and try to absorb it, which is what I do. So shout out to everybody. Boston Dynamics CEO on the fear of robots. Let's see what this is about. I hope I have enough time on my channel.
So we mentioned some of the dangers of some of the concerns about large language models. That said, there's been a long-running fear of these embodied robots. Why do you think people are afraid of legged robots?
Yeah, I wanted to show you this. This is in the Wall Street Journal, and this is all about ChatGPT, right?
Mm-hmm.
But look at the picture.
Yeah,
it's a humanoid robot
that's saying "I will."
That looks scary, and it says, "I'm going to replace you."
Yeah,
and so the humanoid robot is the embodiment of this ChatGPT tool. Mm-hmm. That there's reason to be a little bit nervous about how it gets deployed.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous about that connection.
ChatGPT is fun, but it's kind of scary.
It's unfortunate that they chose to use a robot as that embodiment. As you and I just said, there's big differences in this. But people are afraid because we've been taught to be afraid for over 100 years. So, the word robot was developed by a playwright named Karel Čapek in 1921, the Czech playwright, Rossum's Universal Robots. And in that first depiction of a robot, the robots took over.
See what I'm saying? When you get information,
the end of the story.
I never knew where the word robot came from.
And, people love to be afraid. And so we've been entertained by these stories for 100 years. But I think that's as much why people are afraid as anything else, is we've been sort of taught that this is the logical progression through fiction. I think it's fiction.
I think what people more and more will realize, just like you said, that the threat, like say you have a super intelligent AI embodied in a robot, that's much less threatening because it's visible, it's verifiable, it's...
Sorry, I had to pause real quick, but I'm looking at it. This is exciting. Like, this is an exciting topic because it is how Thanos said. Damn, what did Thanos say? He didn't say eventual. He's inevitable. Like I said, the facial recognition, all the facial recognition cameras, the recording of your vocals, your inflections, all your tones, the words that you specifically use often, and then Boston Dynamics There's no way that in 100 years, you who are watching me right now are not going to be walking around the street somewhere. It might not be you, but it will be you. And AI, Boston Dynamic hybrid of Chat GPT, Apple facial recognition, all the information they've stolen from us as we walk downtown or walk through the mall and stuff, they're going to incorporate it. Let's go.
Right there in physical reality, and we humans know how to deal with physical reality.
Or maybe not. I don't know nothing.
I think it's much scarier when you have arbitrary scaling of intelligent AI systems in the digital space, that they could pretend to be human. So a robot, Spot is not going to be pretend. It can pretend it's human all it wants. It could tell you, you could put ChatGPT on top of it, but you're going to know it's not human because you have a contact with physical reality.
And you're going to know whether or not it's doing what you asked it to do.
Yeah. Like it's not going to, like if it I mean, I'm sure you can start just like a dog lies to you. It's like, I wasn't part of tearing up that couch. So Spot can try to lie that, like, you know, it wasn't me that spilled that thing, but you're going to kind of figure it out eventually. If it happens multiple times, you know. But I think that
humanity has figured out how to make machines safe.
Yeah.
And there's, the regulatory environments and certification protocols that we've developed in order to figure out how to make machines safe. We don't know and don't have that experience with software that can be propagated worldwide in an instant. And so I think we needed to develop those protocols and those tools. And so that's work to be done, but I don't think the fear of that and that work should necessarily impede our ability to now get robots out. Because again, I think we can judge when a robot's being safe.
So, and again, just like in that image, there's a fear that robots will take our jobs. I took a ride. I was in San Francisco. I took a ride in a Waymo vehicle. It's an autonomous vehicle.
No, I need my money.
And I've done it several times. They're doing incredible work over there. But people flicked it off.
Oh, really?
Off the car. So, I mean, that's a long story of what the psychology of that is. It could be maybe big tech or what. I don't know exactly what they're flicking off.
Yeah.
But there is an element of like these robots are taking our jobs or irreversibly transforming society such that it will have economic impact and the little guy would lose a lot, would lose their well-being.
Sorry, pausing. I hope this is another thing about pausing and editing. In the comments, anybody who's watching, is it better going forward with AI and robots and all these technologies, or is there a happy medium? Because there's something to be said about analog and the past and how we lived and how we communicated and how we dealt with each other because there was no technology. So moving forward, like we've already disconnected from each other. You know what I'm saying? The only person I miss, the last time I missed somebody was my cousin who passed away because they're not on social media. They're not all over the phone. They're not everywhere. You don't miss no one anymore. There's a balance that we need to find. Let's go.
Is there something to be said about the fear that robots will take our jobs?
At every significant technological transformation, there's been fear of, an automation anxiety.
Yes.
That it's going to have a broader impact than we expected. And there will be, jobs will change. Sometime in the future, we're going to look back at people who manually unloaded these boxes from trailers, and we're going to say, why did we ever do that manually? But there's a lot of people who are doing that job today that it could be impacted. But I think the reality is, as I said before, we're going to build the technology so that those very same people can operate it. And so I think there's a pathway to upskilling and operating. Just like, look, we used to farm with hand tools, and now we farm with machines. And nobody has really regretted that transformation. And I think the same can be said for a lot of manual labor that we're doing today. And on top of that, look, we're entering a new world where demographics are going to have strong impact on economic growth. And the first world is losing population quickly. In Europe, they're
Elon was
worried about
talking about this
hiring enough
recently.
people just to keep the logistics supply chain going. And, part of this is the response to COVID and everybody's sort of thinking back what they really want to do with their life. But these jobs are getting harder and harder to fill. And I'm hearing that over and over again. So I think, frankly, this is the right technology at the right time, where we're going to need some of this work to be done, and we're going to want tools to enhance that productivity.
And the scary impact, I think, again, GPT comes to the rescue in terms of being much more terrifying. The scary impact of basically, so I'm I guess a software person, so I program a lot, and the fact that people like me can be easily replaced by GPT, that's going to have
Well, and a lot,
ChatGPT
anyone
write
who deals
code?
with text
I've never
and
tried to ask it to write
writing
code.
a draft proposal might be easily done with ChatGPT now, where it
consultants,
wasn't before.
journalists,
Yeah.
everybody is sweating.
But on the other hand, you also want it to be right.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to make it right yet. But it might make a good starting point for you to iterate.
Boy, do I have to talk to you about modern journalism. But that's another conversation altogether. But yes, more right than the average, the mean journalist. Yes, you spearheaded the anti-weaponization letter. Boston Dynamics has. Can you describe what that letter states and the general topic of the use of robots in war?
We authored a letter and then got several leading robotics companies around the world, including Unitree in China and Agility here in the United States, and Animal in Europe, and some others, to co-sign a letter that said we won't put weapons on our robots.
Lies.
And part of the motivation
Impossible.
there is, as these robots start to become commercially available,
Stop.
you can see videos online of people who've gotten a robot and strapped a gun on it and shown that they can, operate the gun remotely while driving the robot around. And so having a robot that has this level of mobility, and that can easily be configured in a way that could harm somebody from a remote operator is justifiably a scary thing. And so we felt like it was important to draw a bright line there and say, we're not going to allow
every nuclear
this.
bomb and missile
For
remote killing a gun?
reasons that we think ultimately it's better for the whole industry if it grows in a way where robots are ultimately going to help us all and make our lives more fulfilled and productive. But by goodness, you're going to have to trust the technology to let it in. And if you think the robot's going to harm you, that's going to harm and impede the growth of that industry. So we thought it was important to draw a bright line and then publicize that. And our plan is to begin to engage with lawmakers and regulators. Let's figure out what the rules are going to be around the use of this technology, and use our position as leaders in this industry and technology to help force that issue. And so we are. In fact, I have a policy director at my company whose job it is to engage with the public, to engage with interested parties and including regulators to sort of begin these discussions.
Yeah, it's a really important topic, and it's an important topic for people that worry about the impact of robots on our society with autonomous weapon systems. So I'm glad you're sort of leading the way in this.
Yeah, that's crazy. Boston Dynamics is ahead of their time. Like they're doing different things over there. If you watch these type of industries online and just a casual look at what they're doing is even amazing, because I wouldn't lie and say I study these people or I follow them closely, but I come across them. You skim through it because it's part of the fabric of the world now. You know what I'm saying? So and it's pretty amazing. Um, but it's scary too because just like crime and the criminals are always ahead, right? So the bad part is always going to be in my mind. Maybe I'm a pessimist. No, I don't think I'm a pessimist. I'm definitely an optimist. But maybe I'm a cynic. Does that apply for this thing? Knowing that, or thinking, or assuming that the technology is always going to go left and do something malicious because people are malicious and the machines are only an extension of the creator, right? So yeah, you could say you don't want to replace jobs and stuff, but the owner of that company is going to be like, wait a minute, I can save $500,000 a year if I replace these people and buy all this equipment. That's going to happen because personally, he's going to be like, I'm thinking about my family or whatever. It's just a lot of nuance in everything we do on this planet, including technology, ChatGPT. How are we going to use it? How are people going to use it? Uh, all the artificial intelligence. One thing I do want to say, and this is you tell me in 1,000 years if I'm right. I think this ends like this. I know it's ridiculous, far-fetched. I think this ends like this. The world, it doesn't end like this, but first of all, we're going to be eventually hybrids, humans and artificial intelligence. That is a fact. I'm sorry. Argue with me if you want. The way things are going, there will be natural born humans, just like the Matrix movie. It's bugged out because it's actually, I don't know if it's life, this is how life progresses, or if this is life imitating art. You know what I'm saying? But common sense, maybe not so common. Although, like I said, the facial recognition, the voice recognition, they record all our conversations and everything. So eventually, just like we have our phones and we're sort of merged, and then Elon talking about the what is it called? The Neuralink and all that stuff where we'll be already interactive. And then let's say you lose an arm in a war. They put a fake arm. You have a fake heart. Eventually, we're cyborgs. Eventually, I'm saying this is where it's going to go. Now we're cyborgs. We don't eat regular food no more 1,000 years in the future because we're not, because we passed that. We done replaced all our organs. I'm still alive because of my facial recognition and my voice. And I'm sorry, people. I know you didn't want me to be here in 1,000 years. I'm still here. That would be weird if I'm doing a reaction in 1,000 years, reacting to my own video. But I'm a half robot, like, So as artificial hybrid beings, we won't need the typical sustenance that we use. We won't need the regular stuff, you know what I'm saying? So all this artificial intelligent hybrid robot human beings, whatever the hell we are going to end up being, will gather up all the resources throughout the planet, dig, because now you're not worrying about oxygen and pressure and all this stuff because you're artificial intelligence. You're not real. We have built all these technologies to do this for us. So we scrape and scrounge top to bottom, in and out, every end of the earth, all the minerals, and turn this planet into a living, breathing ship. Because there's no point of being here. How far can you expand? As in artificial intelligence, your capacity is infinite. Without the strains of being a human being and reaching a certain level of age where you start getting dementia and everything, the world becomes overwhelming. Life. I'm assuming that's why we die, because if you were to live to 100 years, it's overwhelming. But as artificial hybrid humans, we'd gather all the resources and take this planet and move it through the solar system, because now we're not worried about the waters and all this stuff and sustenance and living and all this stuff. We're just robots, with a mental history or a recording, a recording, like a historical recording in our system of what we once were. And maybe our main objective still is to find out what the world, the universe, and life is about. But as artificial hybrid intelligence, we can go do that now, because we done took all the minerals, all the diamonds from the wherever the hell the diamonds are, and all the steel, whatever materials we have. Think of all the raw materials on this planet deep in the oceans that we would now be able to access because we're not using our flesh. We're whatever the hell we are in the future. So I think that's where we're going. We'd get there faster if there was no hate and racism and hunger and disease and all this natural stuff that humans go through. If people will find a way to get along, we'd probably move that along faster. I don't know if anybody's in a rush to become a hybrid and travel the galaxy, but I think that's where it's going to go. I hope, because, or they teach us to live as humans. I mean, not teach us, but figure out how we can live longer. Let's say 200 years, and we get off this planet. Now we can, I'd rather be alive. I want my kids. I want humans still to be alive, but it's not going to be just regular humans. It might be a few left, like they said in the Matrix. I don't know. I'm on a tangent, conspiracy. I don't know. This ain't conspiracy. This is just an assumption, I guess. This is my gathering all the information I have, and this is the only thing I can see happening. That's why I said I think the planet has enough species on it between humans and animals that if we would all get together and travel the galaxy, we would have seeded the planet by now, and all these aliens we would have been looking for would have been us. I don't know. Lex Fridman, anyway. This is all from Lex Fridman. I mean, this is where he takes you. This is where Lex Fridman takes you. This is where all these type of channels take you. Let me know what you think. I'm out of here. Peace. Hybrids.